Welcome to my early morning 10-minute walk or 10-mile walk. I like to get up about 4 o'clock every day. It's not hard, by the way, because I don't sleep much. I only sleep like 5 or 6 hours anyway. And whenever it's not like too bad of weather, I will hit the street before all these freaking tourists get up. This town just gets tourists year round. I don't know why, but they annoy the hell out of me. So I like to get up early before they do and do this. But recently, I had this idea to start. Whenever I get ideas or I want something on my mind that I could teach, that I will just start the camera and like this and start talking. I've been doing this for my paid customers for a while, but it occurred to me I could do this for my free list too every now and then, and throw it up on YouTube or whatever site I want to use, and see what happens. But also realize it's 4:30, so if it sounds like I'm keeping my voice down a little bit, it's because the average age of the person living in this town is 52 years old, and easily woken up probably. And anyway, so recently I got this magnificent troll. Oh, this is like one of the best trolls I think I've ever heard from. Just so full of like just self-loathing, miserable, just a perfect troll. And he just spent like a whole page telling me how disappointed he is in me, say how fat I am, and talking about how I don't, all these walks you do and all this Wing Chun you do, you'd think you wouldn't be so fat. And I guess he saw one of my videos or something, and so great. I can't wait to use this for fodder when I sell a product that I'm going to be launching pretty soon about how to turn troll comments into sales. I'm hoping to launch that in February, actually. As you can see, I'm in a part of the street here where there's absolutely no street lights. It's my favorite time of the day. And anyway, back to the troll. So this is just perfect troll. I mean, I've heard from some great trolls before, but this guy was just the best. I mean, I wish I could get like 100 of these guys. But he doubts I do. I think he was like doubting that I even do this kind of thing. But I can assure you I do it. My goal is to get 50 miles a week. That's my goal. Which I pretty much do 95% of the time. It just, unless the weather gets really crappy, I'm not going to bother. But especially during the winter here and everything, probably get more like 30 miles a weekend. But ideally, I like to walk for 10 miles in the morning. It takes me about 3 hours. I leave about 4:30. I'm back at 7:30, and then I can start my day and do whatever I want. My main exercise is now over. I can do other things too, but this is like the main thing. This is what gets me going. I get a ton of ideas. I'm able to create content like this. Actually, anybody could do this, by the way. I mean, if you want to create content for your paid customers or your free list or whatever you're doing, I mean, just go take a walk and record yourself teaching something. It's very simple. I've done this walking my dog, and I do it all the time. Anyway, so there's a point, this first one I wanted to talk about, and I did a whole podcast on the benefits of walking 10 miles. I'm not suggesting everybody watching this do the same thing. It's not easy at first, but now I can probably do this twice a day now, because you just build up to it. And it's kind of like building a tolerance up, basically. I don't even get really calluses or any blisters or anything anymore. I used to, but there's a certain time when you're doing this kind of thing, and any kind of exercise, where it's kind of painful. I mean, that's just how it works. Lactic acid buildup if you're lifting weights or whatever. For doing long walks, you just be your legs hurting. It could be painful blisters. Just for a while, I had to every time I would do this, I'd have to wrap my foot up basically with Band-Aids wherever I had blisters. Until I wised up and got some special socks that prevent friction in creating blisters. But my point is this: there's always going to be whenever you want to do anything new, anything worth doing. I don't care if it's an exercising, if it's working out. I don't care if it's a new job. You have to learn something. Could be learning copywriting, email marketing, learning a new job. Whatever it is, there's always a learning curve. There's always that painful part. I remember hearing an interview between John Carlton and Gary Halbert, part of his Scuttlebutt Tapes series. And John Carlton saying, I try to teach people to play guitar. And most people never come back for the second lesson. Because it kind of hurts, apparently. I mean, I've never done this myself, but he says it kind of hurts. It's like, you kind of bleed. You shred your fingers up. And you got to build those calluses up. And so it is. It's how it is with anything. You got to build calluses up. The more you do it, the easier it gets. I remember when I first started learning copywriting. Oh my God. It's like it was a painful process. It's like it's a learning curve. But the more I just stayed at it, writing ads out by hand, studying books, I did everything I read Gary Halbert say, basically. I got a big stack of 3x5 cards, and every book I'd read, I'd take notes. Well, I actually did everything. So I'd read books like 10 times, or go through products 10 times, the good ones at least. And I didn't have a lot of money, so pretty much I had to curate my content pretty strongly. An advantage, I think, compared to now. There's so much crap out there. When I was getting started, there wasn't really that much crap to wade through. In fact, it was pretty rare to find anything. So, in a way, I had it easier 16 years ago than it is today. But the point is this: you're going to have to, if you're learning something new, and if you're new to my list, I'm sure everything I'm doing is new to you. Assuming it is, just realize that there's a learning curve. It's painful, in a way. It's not comfortable. I should say not really painful, but it's uncomfortable. There's uncertainty. Some days you'll be like, God, this is complicated. I can't figure this out. Part of that's because most people try to make it complicated when they're teaching you something. There's a lot of money in keeping things complicated. I kind of like to keep things as simple as possible for my own sake. I can't really imagine trying to overcomplicate something for people, but people do it. And be careful of those types of teachers. My opinion, my biased opinion. Complicated, simple, it doesn't really matter. There's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be a period of discomfort. And it's kind of like flying a plane, I think. Well, not flying a plane, but riding in a plane. And I'll just leave it with this. A couple years ago, I was flying somewhere. I don't know. I think it was to speak at one of AWAI's boot camps or something like that. Copywriting boot camps. Or Brian Kurtz's masterclass, something like that. I'm in a very dark spot right here, so that's why you can't see me. But that's alright, you don't need to see me. Just hear my words. Anyway, I was waiting to get on my flight, and there was a pilot, getting a ride with that flight. And somehow I got to talking to him. I never small talk, but somehow I got to talking to this guy. And I asked him, somehow I got into the conversation of how dangerous flying is. I don't know. I hate flying personally, so that's probably why I asked. And I asked, so when's the most dangerous part of the flight? Is it the landing or what is it? He goes, no. He goes, the most dangerous part of the flight is the very beginning. He goes, I can tell you, flying for many years, this is the part, if you're going to crash, it's probably going to be on takeoff. This is a great conversation to have, by the way, when you're about to get on a flight. But he said, that's the worst part. He goes, I can't believe I see people taking their shoes off. And I was like, I know, you just need to be buckled in and aware. I mean, imagine having this conversation right before you're about to get on a flight with a pilot. But he goes, but once it gets up there, it's fine. He goes, the chances of anything happening are like slim to none. Not that there's a good chance of anything happening on the takeoff either, but these were the kind of conversations I was having with him. And it's the same thing. It's when you're first starting is when it's the hardest. It's when you're going to make most of the mistakes. It's going to, and that's fine. Let yourself make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. I had a customer recently asked me about this and asked me some questions, and I could tell she's a little, confused on copywriting, because it's not like the easiest thing in the world for people to pick up at first. And I'm just like, yeah, just stick with the basics. You don't have to get flashy or anything like that. Just stick with the basics. Write a headline, opening sentence, tell a story, talk about then the bullets, and then close. Now, that's not the only way to do a sales letter, and it's not always that simple. But just keeping it that simple will hopefully keep the calluses down to a minimum, the bleeding down to a minimum. You'll build up a tolerance to writing. You'll get better at it, faster at it. It just takes time. And you're not going to learn this overnight. This is a lifelong skill you're trying to learn here. Copywriting, email marketing. The late, great Jim Camp said the same thing when he was about his negotiating skills. This is the highest level negotiator you could probably find ever. I mean, this is a guy that the FBI changed their terrorist negotiation protocols because of him. Said that he was the biggest revolution in negotiation in 50 years. He's required reading now. At a lot of top universities and all that, business schools. He said, and this was toward the end of his life. He died, I think, in his late 60s. He's like, I'm still reading and studying this. I'm never, he's like, I have 500 volumes of books. Great thinkers, great negotiators, people who build countries. And all. He goes, I read their 500 volumes of their thoughts and wisdom right in my office there. He goes, I'm still adding books. I'm still reading. I'm still working at this. This is a lifelong thing. And but realize, once you've figuratively developed those calluses, you're not bleeding anymore, then you can get to mastery. Right now, you're just trying to learn if you're just starting, you're just getting the basics down. It's okay. Okay. The beauty is, if you got the right offer to the right list, you don't have to be a great copywriter to make great sales, as you'll see. So work hard at it, in the beginning especially. It's going to be a rough takeoff, but once you get to that comfortable altitude, it gets a lot better and a lot more exciting. And I think you'll see your response start to go up a lot, but you just have to stick with it. Don't give up. And that's all Bembo's words of wisdom at 4:45, walking through the mean streets of Bandon here. So that's it for this time. If you like this, I can certainly do more of these. Just let me know. Send me an email, and through my site at bensettle.com. And I shall talk to you later.